Hello everybody, welcome to Discussing Tabletop. Of course, it is December 22nd, 2018. This is going to be the 97th show with mostly me and Joe. Mostly. Of course, we have some guests with us today, and it's a great holiday season, so those of you out there, happy holidays. Joining us today, though, are Josh and Misha of Studio Wumpus, who've been working on Sumer. I can correct myself. A digital board game. But so we're going to be talking with them first. Our full docket, though, we are going to be talking, though, today a little bit about the new Magic the Gathering set. They've announced some things like mechanics. D&D has put out another Unearthed Arcana with Sidekicks. John Carter of Mars is out. Wizkids have out Throne. Modifius also put out a horror-themed thing for Conan RPG. And then we, of course, have heard a little bit about Comanauts coming out from Plad Games. Then we're going to dive into our regular segments of deeper discussion. We'll review a couple of games, our Kickstarter corner, our week in tabletop, what me and Joe have been playing, and consult the table where anybody can ask any questions you have in chat about pretty much anything. Tabletop best, but if you got any cool questions for us, great. All right, so Josh, Misha, why don't we start with you? Why don't you try to talk to us all about Sumer? Like, give us
Sumer.
Sumer, give us like a rundown of what would be the best way to describe your game.
Okay. So Sumer is a game where he plays ancient Sumerian nobles trying to sacrifice the most stuff to the goddess Inanna. And that's the theming. Kind of more mechanically, it's a worker placement video game. Real-time worker placement kind of strategy game, but reimagined to be kind of more like Catan and less like Risk.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's basically the idea is to make like a digital Euro game. So there are other like kind of digital board games out there like Armello and stuff, but they tend to be more on like the American style design. So as far as we know, Sumer is the only pretty much digital Euro style game. So it's like half worker placement and half auction.
Now, I did have a chance to see you, some people playing the game and check out some things on it when we're at PAX Unplugged, and definitely I could see there are some aspects of it that pertain very well to video game, more than just a traditional board game. You were aiming for that, I think you said, when we interviewed there a little bit.
Yeah, we wanted to make a game that took these like modern Euro style design ideas, but made a game that could like really only work as a video game and kind of used the affordances of like the digital medium to do things we can only do there. So we didn't want to make a game that could have been a board game. It just feels like a board game. It has the design, like the backbone of a board game. Yeah,
you wanted something that will capture the board game feel, but it's definitely something you couldn't physically have in front of you, which I thought was a very, actually pretty good concept, because normally you see a lot of the digital games either being like recreations of something there, or people transition them, something back and forth like that, and it's never, or like something like maybe like anything that's close to board game might be like a collection of mini games, which is fun, but it's mini games. It's not a board game.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of it for us, I think, was thinking kind of like if we could automate parts of a board game, what would we kind of fantasize about making?
Mm-hmm.
Where like I don't know, like a worker placement game where you have simultaneous action or something like that is something you really couldn't do, just because of like the way the hands work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then as soon as it's digital, it's kind of trivial easy.
Yeah, and we can like automate setup. We can have like relatively complex like algorithms for how to do a well-balanced setup. For example, that would be very difficult or impossible in an actual physical board game.
Right. Now, how did you figure out the balancing issue for having everybody taking their turns at once? Because that's something that's like that's very critical to like distinguish your game, especially from like a traditional worker placement. But it's something that when you just hear about it, like, I know it sounds like, oh, how are you going to do that? That thought comes to mind.
So with that, it's the big thing that we kind of add to our game that most board games don't have with that is the kind of a little bit of like a racing, slightly twitch element. But at the same time, we kind of walk that back a bunch too, where it's kind of like you're racing physically. Your character's running across the screen to get to whatever slot you want to take, you want to put your worker in. But then at the same time, a big part of the game strategy ends up being stuff like buying new buildings and putting them close to your bed. So even if you're not the fastest player, you always get first dibs on it. Or like kind of action twitch skill becomes like a tiebreaker in a lot of ways, but is kind of meant to be not much more than that.
Yeah.
Right. It's like kind of woven into the design of the game that there is like a bit of like action skill kind of thing. So for example, there are items you can buy in the auction so there's like wings that help you move faster and let you fly. So they help you with like traversing the board more quickly. You can buy a bed that lets you like start in different parts of the board. So it's just like being able to get to a place faster than other people is just like one of the elements of the strategy, along with the kind of numerical like Eurogame point style stuff that you would expect.
Yeah. Now, the auction was definitely something else that I found was very interesting, that the way you did it, because it was very fast-paced, which is something that a traditional board game auction would be quite different. It would be like, it would be very long and involved, while this was like, just you have a set timer, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Why did you make it so fast, for one thing? Is that like part of the board game style, like the digital style you wanted it to, or you just felt that pertained better to what you were building?
So I think it's important for players, like in this game, to have to adapt to things on the fly, and to have to evaluate things quickly. Now, you actually do get to, well, the first time an item comes up, you get to kind of look at it and think about it as long as you want, although that's partly just to teach new players the game. But it's important to the pacing to keep things moving.
Yeah.
We don't want like a super like deliberate, thinky game. Like it part of the skill of Sumer, a big part of the skill of Sumer actually is making decisions quickly, like making these strategic mathy decisions quickly. And you do get breaks to like stop and think about it, both in the worker placement mode and in the auction mode. But that's just supposed to be part of like the skill that's being tested there.
Yeah. It's you're aiming more for a quick reaction than. Uh-oh. We got a little freeze there for a second.
We lost you, Misha.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I don't. I was just saying that's kind of like you're aiming to be more a little fast paced, like than rather think on your feet, I guess. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think of thinking time as kind of like almost a concrete resource in this game. You can sit back and think longer and strategize, but you're kind of like passing your turn almost when you do that. And sometimes it's totally worth it to do that. In the auction specifically, though, also it adds kind of a new layer of strategy. You get mind games out of having the real-time auction in a way that you can't quite on the same level with something that's kind of like turn-based and gives people time to think. Kind of putting that like active pressure on people, I think adds like a whole new type of strategy to everything.
And that's definitely something it's very hard to create and to capture in a physical board game, which I think that's why Sumer definitely stands out in my mind when I'm seeing it, as an interesting game. So you are officially out on Steam. Did you have your Wii U release yet?
Oh, we Switch. I mean, Switch release.
God.
Yes, we are out on Switch.
I think I saw someone talking about that today, and that was in my brain.
Yeah, we've been out on the Switch kind of 6 months-ish, something like that at this point. Okay. A little bit, yeah. Yeah, and we're still technically in early access on Steam. I'm working on online multiplayer right now.
Okay.
and that'll someday that'll come out.
So, when you get the online multiplayer for Steam, would you take that to Switch then too, or because that might be a whole other can of worms, I'm assuming.
Yeah, so we haven't done an online thing for Switch ever before, and it makes sense to me that there wouldn't be any major roadblocks that in porting it probably. But until we know that for certain, we're being slippery on this question.
Okay. Now, since it is technically early access, beyond the the like online multiplayer, is there anything else you're planning for the game still? Like, what kind of things are you aiming to put into it?
I think that once the online is in and we're kind of theoretically feature complete, it'll be a kind of a vanity thing. We definitely have a lot of little just like variants and modes and like different ways of scoring and so on that we've talked about over time. And it's just a matter of kind of slipping those in over time.
Now, like, I'm assuming a lot of board games get, expansions that add things in. Would you think to add to Sumer an expansion? I guess it would be technically, since it is more digital, it would be a DLC, but would you have some ideas? Like, would you want to put some in for it?
I think. Ooh, is this like a business level discussion that we shouldn't be having here?
If you haven't quite reached that, I mean,
I think we have. I think the conclusion we've hit is more or less that we'd probably do just like, content additions, just like patches, rather than like a full blown sold expansion or something like that. And then, I mean, if there was something that was kind of like such a huge reimagining of it, that would just be a different game.
Yeah. Joe, do you have any questions?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, I'm looking at the site and everything. It looks really interesting. I definitely do want to try this at some point. I love work replacement games, so
he does.
And this definitely looks like it has some interesting aspects to it.
I do think of a question here, which is an interesting tangent. Why did you go for the Sumerian feel of everything?
Oh, yeah. Well, so part of it is that, like, basically every game I make is set in ancient history. But it makes sense with the mechanics, because you're kind of, like, building up... Well, originally, the like, very original idea was very different. But it always had this sense of, like, building up something from nothing that kind of makes the most sense in, like, a, start of civilization setting. Right. So we ended up putting it on this like ziggurat. So what it looks like physically is that you're filling out the interior of a ziggurat that's already built. So I guess it lost a little bit of that sort of logical thematic connection, but that was the initial thing. Another part of it is just that it's also like, an underexplored. It's like both underexplored in games, but it also like fits very comfortably into like the general like world of Euro game themes.
Yeah.
Some weird historical setting that's a little bit obscure.
Okay. Now, an interesting question I have is, for Studio Wumpus, do you plan on doing more games like this in the future that you kind of can capture, like, board game feels or something? Or, like, what's kind of like, do you have, or is that sort of like way too far out in the future at this point in time kind of thing?
It's a little bit unclear. We do have one major difficulty within this studio, which is that we've all kind of moved to different places, which makes the kind of that like initial brainstorming section a lot trickier. Like some of us are in New York, Josh is in Baltimore, one of our team members is in Iceland. So it's unclear.
Yeah.
Yeah, this started as our grad school thesis project at NYU, so we were all in the same place, and that's no longer true. So yeah, I mean, partly we are hoping to like inspire other people to do things like this. It's like a kind of game that we want to exist.
Oh, that's a great thing to do, to inspire other people to dive into this, because I think this is definitely a less explored medium, I would almost say. the true essence of a board game, but only in a digital format that you can only do in digital. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so much, like, so many interesting mechanics that have been kind of discovered in, like, the Eurogame sphere that no one's been, like, really made a video game out of. That it seems like pretty fertile ground for people to follow up on.
Yeah, cool. That's definitely a great thing. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Excellent.
Yeah, definitely interesting because you see some games that have adapted from board game to digital, but you don't see a lot of games coming out that are strictly digital that are like a board game.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think we often feel nervous about making this comparison, but it does feel like in a lot of ways the closest game to us has been Mario Party, which obviously is not as strategic, but just like in terms of being like being a board game, the advantage of being digital, that's kind of like the only one I can almost think of, other than our other big source of inspiration, Mule, which is like a 1983 game that basically was everything revolutionary about Settlers of Catan, but like came out 10 years like before it. It's kind of a mind-blowing game.
Yeah, our auction mechanic is pretty directly adapted from the Mule's auction mechanic. Has the same kind of thing, although theirs is a little different in that you have a buyer and a seller, and so you're kind of like meeting in the middle. And so there are some differences, but that was definitely like our inspiration.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, I've actually, like you mentioned the game, and I'm like, I don't know if I know a lot about that one, which is one of those things. And that's an interesting.
It's old.
Yeah, and that sometimes doesn't help you like to know about them, unfortunately. Definitely. But finding great inspiration like that is also very awesome. And no, it sounds like this project kind of went from as you said, like a grad school thesis to kind of became a little passion project for you guys.
Yeah, so we were accepted into our school's like incubator program after we graduated. So that was like a summer thing where we got like a stipend to keep working on it, and then we've been working on it since then. So we've taken it to shows. I think we were on Nintendo or on the Switch basically because Jeff, who's one of the other team members, was showing it in like Taiwan, and he got interest from Nintendo, and so we ended up getting it on there. So yeah, we've been working on it, I guess, since 2014.
Okay.
Right? Like fall 2014. But yeah, it's none of us are doing it full time.
Well, that's a thing you hear a lot from smaller studios now. Is most of the time these titles people aren't working on full time, and as we can all see, this is a great product you guys have put out, and that can happen, when enough passion and enough time is put into it. Great. I can't think of any questions off the top of my head to add into this. Joe, do you have anything else right now to hit up these guys here?
No, unfortunately, I do not at the moment.
No, great. So I know you two were thinking of, you got to get going and head out. So why don't we kind of transition off of that? Thank you two for joining us today, talking about your game. It's been really fun. Great learning about it a little bit more.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. This has been great.
Is there a good place for people to reach you or find you, or do you just want to stick through the Sumer's website and Twitter?
Twitter's probably the best, I feel like.
Yeah, and the game's out now on Switch and Steam, so Sumer, Sumer. You can just go look it up in the eShop or on Steam. But yeah.
We do also have a Reddit page and the Steam kind of like community chat page are the other two places if you have like some questions that are bigger than like Twitter would be good for.
Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right. So thanks for joining us definitely today.
Thank you.
And you two have a great holiday.
Likewise.
Thanks.
Happy holidays.
Yep.
Yep.
Happy holidays.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let us switch over. Give us a second here on good old Discussing Tabletop to get back to the normal screen. That is... Oh, wait.
Technical.
Hey! Boom! I almost got it perfectly correct right away. Almost.
There we go.
I know. It only took a couple of seconds.
Hey, you're improving.
Look, my transition time, not bad. In comparison to what it could have been. Alright. That was a great talk about, Sumer. That was one that
It really looks like an interesting game.
I had a great time checking it out at PAX, and they were one of the groups people that gave me an actual, like, interview that I set up earlier.
I think, definitely once they have the online multiplayer, it's something we might be able to do a stream of, try it out.
That's true. That would be a great one to dive into. Unfortunately, yes, I agree that probably waiting for the online multiplayer when it eventually comes out would be best for us. But still, just
but it is 25% off Steam right now. So
that's true, and the game goes for 15, which is not a bad price for a game,
No.
and for something this good. So if you do have the opportunity for some like couch co-op, I definitely recommend checking this out right away. And I think Switch is a lot easier to do it. If you've got a Switch, why was I saying Wii U? Oh my god, because I think I was seeing someone do something with the Wii U earlier, talking about it, and it was on my brain.
Well, yeah, but the Switch, it's definitely going to be a lot easier because since that platform is also mobile.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to be like...
You could take it with you and play anywhere and be able to do a sit-down multiplayer that way.
Yeah, especially because I'm guessing that's like... I think they've got if you're close to each other, you can connect together kind of thing.
Right, and that's what I'm saying is with the Switch, you could have multiple people who have Switches, bring their Switch who have it and play it that way too.
Yeah, which would be a lot easier than, the computer. So I think Switch is the way to go right now until they get that one. But if you want to get on top of it early, I mean, that's definitely something, and try out some things.
Yeah. Hey, if you like playing board games and you don't have a big party to play with, you want to just play something yourself, you play against the AI at the very least. But on to other topics. What are we moving on to?
Yeah, just give me a second here.
Yep.
All right, we are moving on to Ravnica alliances. Just a little bit. I don't want to dive spoilery or dive too deep into things. I think I sent you a link to the card image gallery, but I'm not going to say bother with that one. I wanted to talk about mechanics because I like talking magic mechanics. You know that for a fact, and let me link that in chat there. And we know what the 5 mechanics are this time. So...
Spectacle is one of them, it looks like.
Spectacle, where you cast a spell for its spectacle cost rather than its normal mana cost if an opponent costs life this turn. So basically, which is an interesting thing because it's not... it seems like the spectacle cost is always more expensive, but if you cast it as the spectacle, you get something. At least for the 2 that they're showing off here.
I'm looking at one of them specifically here.
There's the Rick's-Body Reveler and the Rafter Demon are the 2 that
I'm looking at the Rick's-Body Reveler right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you discard your hand and draw 3 cards if you paid the extra, the spectacle cost for the Rick's-Body Reveler, where before you'd only get to draw 1 card. So that's really a good card. Like if that was the last card you had in your hand, and it's like, I'm gonna draw 3 cards at it. It's worth spending the extra mana. Yeah,
then it's 4 mana for 3 cards. It's not bad, especially in like a red-black. No, not at all. Like the Rafter Demon, it's 1 more mana, and each opponent discards a card. That's each opponent, which is very good. So
Light Up the Stage is another one. That one, it's actually less.
Mm-hmm.
The Spectacle is only 1 instead of 3.
So that's another thing. They could be less, it could be a little bit more, and maybe get an extra ability. I think that's the kind of balancing thing, is like you have to see which ones work best for you. So Spectacle's an interesting one, because it again, I think the best Magic mechanics feel like an alternate version of something that already exists, and that's what this feels like alternate costs for things, you know, and it's an alternate cost that's triggered by an opponent lost life.
Right.
So.
And then there's Riot. That one looks interesting, because you get a choice of either a +1/+1 counter or haste when the creature comes in.
Now that is an interesting one, that like if you want to be like a quick to attack, or if you want it just to be bigger. Yeah.
Well, that's nice because, you know, strategy greatly depends on who you're playing and what they're playing.
Yeah.
So, you know, with Riot, that's really nice because it's like, okay, they have a bunch of creatures, I need to build up some defense, or they don't have a lot of creatures, I can attack. I want to attack real quick.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like the Riot is definitely for more of an aggressive deck and an aggravated deck, because it is something that it's a simple little ability, and I think that's one of the other reasons, if you look at the cards that have it, they feel alright balanced without the Riot, kind of, you know? So it's just almost a bonus.
Oh, definitely. Like, one of the ones I'm looking at was the Gruul Spellbreaker, which is a 3/3 for 3 mana. Good card.
Yeah.
But with that extra Riot ability, that makes it really a great card.
Because it already has, it's 3/3 for 3 mana with Trample, and if it's your turn, it has Hexproof.
Yeah.
So that's like an interesting thing, that it's like, if someone wants to kill it, they got to do it on their turn, which is actually something that's really kind of a push point on opponents, though. Definitely, you know, it's that you can't instant kill it on your opponent's turn,
right?
Or do something at the end of their turn, kind of things.
Yeah, you have to spend the mana during your turn to do something, which then limits you.
Now, the Orzhova, their Afterlife ability is an interesting one. I mean, this kind of thing has happened before, that if something dies, you get a token. It's just, this is specifically an ability that gives you a 1/1 white-black spirit token with flying. And it does say, I only see a couple 1, but apparently there could be higher Afterlife numbers than 1.
Yeah, maybe it might not be that they have them out right now, but maybe it's an ability that we're going to see also more in the future. True. Or there's more cards that do have higher numbers.
I'm sure there are more cards, definitely. Like, seeing more in the future, that's kind of a questionable thing. I don't know. They sometimes revisit things. So that's not a definite yet, but it's also like a, maybe.
Well, is this... Because I'm been getting back into Magic by playing a lot more of the Arena.
Yeah.
But is this now... This is what... Is this the first... No, this is the... Which one of the Ravnica is this? Is this
not the one that just came out. The next one that's coming out.
Right, but I'm saying, would this be number 2 or number 3?
From the blocks, you mean? The third block. This is the third block in Ravnica.
Okay, so this is the last block of Ravnica.
The current one, yeah, the newest one.
Yeah. Because they normally just do 3 blocks and then move to...
Well, this is technically the second set, because they've been doing kind of like... They actually are up in the air, the number of sets, so we don't even know how many they're going to have.
Okay. Because that's what I was trying to figure that out, just because...
Oh, God, yeah.
Normally through a set, at the very least, you'll see that ability come up again. Yeah. Well, so that's what I was trying to figure out. Is this early in a set that we might see more of these abilities?
Like, I don't know. Yeah, like in a block. Yeah, because it was 3 sets to a block for a while, then it was 2 sets to a block, and then when they reached Dominaria, they're like, whatever, it's what we feel like, whatever's important to the story. Which, I mean, is fine. That's probably a little better rather than forcing a point. If you can tell a story in 1 set, great on you. Excellent. Right. If you need 3 sets to do it, great. If you only need 2, I'm fine with it. I am actually not sure how many they're planning for Ravnica.
Okay. That's what I was just trying to figure out. like I said, because we haven't gotten to play a lot in the last couple of years, I'm a little, out of the game on everything.
Oh, their ordering is just weird. Wizards. So we also have Adapt then, which is you pay a mana cost. The creature has no +1/+1 counters. It puts that many as its Adapt is, which they're showing off the leader of the Simic, who gets 4 +1/+1 counters.
Okay, there's also one that has Aeromonculus, which is just one.
Yeah, it just gets one. That's sort of like, because it's a common, I feel like since it's just getting one, it's
that
more
makes
like
sense. Yeah, it's a common, should only get one.
It's like all of a sudden I can be like, well, I got the extra mana now. It gets bigger.
Yeah.
And a 2/3 flying is not bad. That for just some mana cost later on, I can make a 3/4 flying.
Right. No, it's
a fine common.
It's fine. Yeah.
So, and then we also have Addendum, which, if you cast it during your main phase, you get something else.
What one has that?
Azorius has Addendum.
Go ahead and talk about it.
It's apparently mostly on instants that have additional or alternate if you cast it during a main phase. So basically, it's, you got your instants. You usually can throw them out whenever you feel it's necessary. This is like encouraging you to throw them out during your own turn in instant for an additional bonus. You can still do it whenever, like during an opponent's end step. You could be like, I still can cast this. It's just like, maybe now is a better time because you get something.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. Sorry,
I was gonna say like the emergency powers, where it's each player shuffles their hands and draws 7 new cards. That's a kind of common thing we say. But if you cast it during your main phase, you put a permanent of converted battle cost of 7 or less from your hand into the battlefield, which makes it really good.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah, and it's just a permanent too. So it could, like, the thing is, it is if it was really helpful, you could put a goddamn land from your into your hand.
Right. Well, hey, someone just destroyed some of your land, or you've been mana screwed. That still might be worth it.
Yeah, it's just
that one land might be like, oh, now I can play this.
Yep. I think those are the major mechanics. Other than that, we see hybrid mana and split cards come back in Ravnica, because there have been a tradition of Ravnica since the beginning, both of those. So seeing them back is just like,
yeah,
we're expected.
Well, I like split cards.
No, I do too. Split cards are very interesting. It gives you options, and I've always liked hybrid mana. I have to say that's one of those things. Is sometimes it feels more appropriate than a multicolored card. Sometimes. And then it gives you a little bit more flexibility at that point in time. I do like that they have kept it to be not... they haven't pushed it out there completely. They don't make all the gold cards hybrid. Just to, like, I guess it's also a balancing of cost,
Right.
So. No, I think none of these abilities feel bad, is what I have to say about them. Which is one of those interesting things about magic abilities. Sometimes you can be looking at a set and be like, I don't know about that. That seems awful.
Right. No, that's very true. I'm actually really looking forward to this release now, because, like I said, I've been playing a lot of Magic Arena, and they do drafts and everything on there. So one thing I will definitely say when it comes to Arena, that they made it very easy to build up the cards you have. You can get packs and coins to buy packs and stuff just by playing. You don't have to actually spend hard cash to be competitive in it.
Which is nice. Definitely. I agree. I mean, from what I've seen, there are some very cool things that have been out in this one. Like they've got like a very interesting basic lands. I do have to say, I'm unsure about their buy a box promo, just because it looks like another one that's only in the buy a box. I'm not sure if it's in the actual set, because it looks like the card number is like 273 of 259 on here, which confuses me. Do they have that many like small promos in between there? Question mark.
The artwork on the buy a box looked interesting though.
Oh no, yeah, and it's like an interesting vampire. But again, I think like it's that one of like this card looks useful. I don't know if it actually is, but it looks useful. Stop making useful things that, encourage this kind of thing. It's not everybody. It's like it looks like it could affect like standard and stuff. Maybe it won't.
Right.
I don't know enough about the set that maybe it won't. But I worry from the looks of it, is what I'm saying. Just a little bit. I mean, other than that, the set looks good so far, from what it's shaping up, and I'll keep my ideas of the cards and stuff for much later anyway. It's good to see kind of a return to form for Ravnica. They always do good jobs on them.
Just because we are talking Magic, you mind if I spell off a few things with the arena?
Sure.
One of the things that they've done that I think is kind of ironic, because we had talked about this years and years ago when Magic Online was out, was now they are providing codes when you buy stuff that you can actually redeem in the Magic Arena, which I think is a great step forward, because it always is like, well, I really like playing online, but when I buy a hard, something in the real world, I wish I could redeem some of it, at least into the game, so I'm not spending money in the game and in the real world. So they did add that aspect.
Yeah.
Which I think is, like I said, great. I do want to recant something I told you off stream. There is a way to play direct with another player.
Okay, great. Oh, you found that out?
They didn't make it as obvious.
I was worried when you said that, but I was like, there's gotta be a way.
Yeah, on the main screen when you're in there, there's a screen that you can swivel through different things. And when you do that, one of them is direct challenge. It just isn't an obvious choice. So with that one, you have to know the other person's display name. You type it in, and you can directly challenge someone.
Okay, so you could challenge your friends in Arena. Great. Cool.
And one thing that I think they also did that was smart was they limited the talking ability in-game, especially with random opponents, that you can only say up to 5 different pre-selected things. That way you don't have to worry about having moderators for your chats who, and having people who aren't so nice.
Well,
but overall, I think it's really a great step forward from the old Magic Online, and they've done a lot of corrections, like I said, with being able to get free packs and earn stuff through just playing rather than having to spend hard-earned, actual hard cash to build up your stuff.
You could, but you don't need to.
Yeah, you can. If you want to sit there and go, I want to buy an online box of the newest set, you can totally do that. You can buy gems and trade those gems in for more stuff. Or you can earn free... Like, in a week, I earned 8 pre-made decks. So, it's like, yes, you could go out and buy packs and stuff, but you can also earn a lot of free stuff through just playing the game a lot.
Cool.
That's what I just wanted to spout off a little on that, and give them a thumbs up that's definitely a right step they made.
Yeah. All right, let's move on, though, because we do have some topics to cover still.
Yes.
D&D Unearthed Arcana. You can get a sidekick. You know, like, as soon as I saw this, I was, like, interested in that, and then I figured out what it actually is. It's
A follower?
It's an animal companion without it being an animal companion.
Oh, okay. I haven't had a chance to completely read over it yet. So
Okay,
that's why
sidekick... okay. The rules, a sidekick is a creature who's your friend and accompanies you on an adventure. It's essentially a second character you play. The sidekick can be any type of creature with a stat block in the monster manual or another D&D book, but must be of challenge rating 1 or lower, and the two of you must be friends.
He's my best friend. I got Mr. Ratface.
And then the thing is, it levels when you do. So it's just a low creature of some kind that I guess is friends with you, so it has to... It theoretically... it does say, like, you can have, like, like, you know, they mention, like, in some of the flavor, like, Biscuit the Mastiff. So it could be an animal. And it gains levels in one of 3 kind of classes that when you gain a level, it gains a level.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it can be a warrior, expert, or spellcaster. I think, like, certain things pertain to others. Like, if I have a dog, I'm fairly certain it's gonna be a warrior. Yeah. I'm just gonna say that there. Yeah.
What's CR as a badger?
It's like a townsperson, animal, or another creature. You can forge a special relationship with them.
It could be a person, then.
It can be a person.
Okay.
Yeah. So it does allow for, like, an actual, like, Robin-style sidekick.
Yeah.
But this also... they're calling it a sidekick, but it's really rules for an animal companion. Or something of the similar. And they don't tell you how you gain it, too. I'm guessing they're leaving it very open-ended, more for role-playing kind of thing, I feel like. It's just when your sidekick joins you, it chooses one of those. You know?
Yeah, true, yeah. And it
has to have a language to be an
spellcaster. Yeah, an expert or a spellcaster, it has to have a language.
So that means it has to be at least slightly smart.
Right, you can't have a spellcasting owl.
Yeah. Unless
you can have a spellcasting goblin.
Yes. So you can have a goblin sidekick. So, I mean, it's very interesting that, like...
Oh, God. Why does Master never wear...
Oh, Deacon.
Yes.
Yep.
That's just what popped in my head is you could have Deacon.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I want to create a character that has a Deacon.
I mean, he was just like a hireling kobold bard.
I know, but still. Mm-hmm. Hey, you can make what you can cast magic.
Yes. And I mean, theoretically, you could just use those rules, or just have a bard NPC that's a kobold. I'm just saying, that also could exist. You could have had Deacon before.
I know, but now it's easier.
No, it's not!
Yeah.
It's just as difficult. You haven't changed anything.
But he levels up with you.
Yes. If you had a, like, hireling / person with you that your DM was paying attention to, they probably would have leveled with you anyway. I mean, yes, now
I know, but now you have more control over him.
I see what you want. You want the control over the Deacon.
Yes.
Anyway, I mean, warrior feels a lot like fighter. I'm gonna say that.
Oh yeah, I mean that it is basically.
It's basically fighter. Expert gets a lot of ability score ups, and then can like get helpful things and get skills. It seems. You know, expert...
that I would say that also makes sense why it has to be an intelligent kind of creature.
It's utility, and it's heavy utility.
But you know that's a way to be able to round out your party a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it gains 5 skills of your choice. And then you also gain an extra one at 13th level. Plus, I think you gain expertise a bunch of times, which you can get 2 more skill proficiencies or double skill proficiencies. Plus, they get Jack of Many Trades. I mean, theoretically, you could have, and this is beyond the fact if it didn't start with some skill proficiencies, which it could have. So, yeah.
And Stroke of Luck at 20th level.
That's just, 20th level things. 20th level things are always kind of crazy. A little bit. But
I know, but still.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If it didn't have any skills to begin with, it could have gotten 12 through the course of leveling.
Yeah, and in all classes they get something at every level, almost. I think the only class that doesn't get something every level is the spellcaster. Oh no, because it still gets a spell at the levels it doesn't get an ability.
Okay. Yeah. The spellcasting, it still gets spells. It's spellcasting. It chooses a class, though, that could do. So you could do Deacon because you could choose Bard. You could do Bard, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer, Warlock, or Wizard, and that's your spell list.
Yep.
I mean, it kind of feels weird if I would choose Warlock because they don't get a lot of choices anyway. Yeah. I don't know. That seems like a weird choice. Because, I can pull out my PHP, because it's right over here, and be like, yes, there are 9th level Warlock spells because Warlocks can get them. But also, they have such a smaller selection in comparison. Granted, their selection is unique to them, but,
Yeah, but again, if you're trying to round out a party and...
Maybe having Warlock spells seems cooler. Or seems...
Yeah. Maybe you have one spellcaster, but you're I think we really would benefit for having some of the specialized stuff of a Warlock.
Some of the spells, technically. But
specialized spells, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Psychic can add its spellcasting ability modifier to damage, deals the cantrip. I mean, it gets some cool things. I think, that's wow. Man, it's kind of cool to be a sidekick.
Yeah, I mean, they still get a lot for being a sidekick, so it's just I think it's good for adventure, smaller parties.
Yeah, that's true.
It's basically, instead of having the DM have to make you guys an NPC, it allows a party member to control that NPC.
Well, I'm guessing there's a certain level of control that the DM would have anyway.
Well, right, but you know what I'm saying is...
Yeah.
It takes a little off the DM's plate. So if he's doing a very intricate adventure...
Yeah.
But wants you guys to have a rounder party, he could introduce that, and then... it takes a little off the DM's plate then.
Yeah.
I can see it being useful in certain situations. If you have a 3-person party, that normally you're going to lack something.
Yeah. And I guess that's the reason, the thing is, they do have that little section in here that they're talking about, recalculating CR and stuff, and the reason that they're giving you stuff that's, CR 1 or less is because you shouldn't have to recalculate CR of these things. It's
right.
Another creature, but it should be of equivalent challenge and level to the PCs, basically. Well, from the sounds of it, theoretically, you could totally go for something more powerful as a sidekick. It would just probably have less levels. But the interactions might make things explode.
Yeah.
I do like that they have customization for any CR. That you could do that. But it's maybe not as easily balanced.
Well, and one of the things I could say that would make sense too is, say you're already in a slightly higher level campaign, say you're all 8th level.
Yeah.
And someone dropped out of the campaign, and you wanted to re-round out the party. You could say, hey, you could have up to a CR 7, but then it's only going to have 1 level of whatever sidekick ability it gets.
Yeah.
So that would be a reason I think that you would do that. So you could have it still ends up being the same challenge as the party, but you gained it later in the game, so maybe that's why you might have a higher level CR base, but then it's not going to have the same abilities.
It's not. It theoretically wouldn't gain as many levels anyway. But I think the idea is that when you're adding those levels on, it might not be just like I'm level 8, I have a CR 8, and it begins to gain levels.
Right.
That might not work. It might be that this CR 6, when I start giving it levels to balance out with me, it becomes balanced out with me. Like I give it that first level warrior. Oh, now this CR 6 is theoretically a CR8, now it's equivalent to me, that's what it would be.
Right. Then that's what I was trying to say. That's why he's wanting like at least one CR down than what the party is. Otherwise, yes, it would exponentially be more powerful all the time.
Yeah. You gotta
start it off at the same level.
If you want to do it, it's up to you as the DM to do the gosh darn math. Or at least play around with the math.
But it makes it interesting, like I said, if someone dropped out of a party and you wanted to round it out.
Oh, no, like...
you could easily do something like this and have it as a higher base CR if you want it, and just doesn't get as many levels.
Figuring out the CR of something has become a little bit... I've gotten better at it just because customizing monsters... I had to go into like lists of monsters by CR and take a look at a bunch of different ones and get an idea of like, okay, this CR in comparison to this CR, the differences and balancing acts, and it's just like, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
It was a cool idea. It's a cool idea, and it's a cool idea to add an NPC to a group that maybe PCs have a little bit more control over. Like maybe not perfect control, because definitely you as the DM are going to want to throw something out there.
You can still step in, of course.
But
it's not like, oh, the DM wants us to have a paladin. Great. No. We got a babysitter.
This could be like, I have my 3rd level warrior dog, which has been my best friend since my youth. That's now like, he's an old pupper, but he still's great, and he's going on adventures with me.
Right.
Go get him, dog!
Hey, I have no family left, and I'm taking care of my little brother, but he can come out with us.
He could be an expert, He's gained some skills,
Yeah. So, I mean, you could have some interesting backstory with it, and make it make sense very easily. Or, you befriend the village, blacksmith or something.
Yeah. And he decides to travel with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, I got an expert now.
I'm an expert.
There's lots of different ways you could add it in and make it really interesting and have a lot of fun with it. So I really do like that.
Yeah. No, I agree. Cool. So it is officially up on the D&D website. I put the link in chat. Go check it out for yourself. See what you think about it, and use it if you like. Let's move on, though, and of course talk about the next topic, which is John Carter of Mars RPG is released. At least the core book is out now. I think we talked a little bit about this existing. I think we talked about this when it was up on Kickstarter, didn't we?
I think we did, yes.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about it when it was like when Modifius had it up on Kickstarter, or whoever, like again, because Modifius is a publisher also, we can't really say it's 100% Modifius, but you know what I mean. But it's a 2d20 system, of course, because it's Modifius's bread and butter. Everything they seem to put out is a 2d20 system. And it's exactly what it sounds like, John Carter of Mars. Which the PDF is out right now. Man, no. I haven't seen the physical I don't think they have a physical book.
No, it
yet.
doesn't look like it because on Mordifius's website they're only mentioning PDF,
Yeah,
which is $18.99.
it's not bad for PDF.
No,
big
it's
book.
no, it's fine for a big book. Because normally a hard print's going to be like normally $50 for a large book. So, that's less than half the price. So you really can't complain too much.
Yep. And is it actually Mars? Because they say it's the red planet of Barsoom, which and also has like ancient civilizations, fearsome creatures. It's Edgar Rice Burroughs' other property, other than Tarzan, which no one really talks about.
I'm not really up on John Carter, but if you think about it, maybe we call it Mars, but the natives might call it Barsoom.
That's true. That's very true. I didn't even think about that, but you are correct. And the book does allow you to play as like John Carter and his fearsome allies or whatever it is, kind of like, or create your own character. It's got a lot of the world set up in the book, which I guess is great because if you're not familiar with it, now you can be. There is a free quick start guide too. Okay, and 3 eras of play. Which I guess it depends on how you are in the storylines of the various books. Because the thing is, I know there was a bunch of these books, and I knew of their existence more than anything about them.
Right.
I mean, it's interesting. It's taking a little bit of the. I feel like this is like the precursor to Flash Gordon. Anyway, it's Flash Gordon was inspired probably a little bit by this. Savior of the Universe. And
I'm sorry, I have to do the Oz when you say Flash Gordon.
I can't fault you. I would have too. If I wasn't talking about it, I would have too.
Plus, I just did see the Bohemian Rhapsody movie with the Queen.
Ooh.
So that was really good, and Queen did write and perform the music for Flash Gordon.
Yeah. Yep. There's another movie that I saw that they did, but that's side topic. But, no, John Carter, I'm curious enough to, like, try out the Quick Start Guide, personally, and see how it is. And beyond that, well, I would say go check out the Quick Start Guide for yourself. It's free. That makes it very easy for you to play it, test it, sample it. Get an idea if you really want to buy this thing, and then the PDF is $19, which is not bad for a core book PDF.
No, not at all.
No. And if you're familiar with the 2D20 system, you'll be great on it. As someone that's only slightly familiar with the 2D20 system, I'd say I probably would not be great at the system right away. But,
Yeah.
And, I think I talked about it back when this week is up on Kickstarter. It's such an interesting property to actually see. Because I think the last time we really saw it was the semi-awful movie version of it. Which I think people said, like, didn't properly capture the John Carter and Morris books. Or it was that, or it was either that, or it was the fact that no one cared. Because it's sort of like, you're throwing it out without a lot of hype, and it's John Carter from Mars? It's like,
Right.
I don't even think they said, like, from the man who wrote the original Tarzan books, or something like that, That'd be like, oh, the person who did Tarzan did this. I'll check it out. I mean, it's like...
Right, try to draw in more people. It's just like, if you're a fan of the books, here you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I don't even know how good or bad it was. I think I may have seen it, but...
I have not.
And even then, like, I'm like... I might have seen part of it, too. It's like...
Seems like an interesting universe. I would check it out.
That's the thing is, it does seem like an interesting universe, but it's sort of like, I don't know if like the movie dive-in was the place to go to.
Well, I think they could have done it, but they just needed to, market it properly.
Yeah, That's
to
true.
try to get a wider audience other than just the fanboys.
And again, it's been a good number of years since it was out, so I could have seen it and I have forgotten because I forget a lot of things.
Right. But I think that's where the downfall really was with the movie, was that unless you were a fan of it already, you probably didn't know much of it and probably didn't care that they were making a movie of it.
I guess
go ahead. I was going to say, you just have to market it right and try to, make it as a widespread of a thing to try, like comic book movies these days. You have a lot of people who don't read the comics but love the movies.
Yep. And I think that's where this won out a little bit, because they did a Kickstarter. I mean, I'm sorry. The fact is, the Kickstarter funded this PDF. I don't know if they're going to do a physical copy. They might not do a physical copy. They might have gotten enough in the Kickstarter to get this out, and that's it. Because the fact is, this now, they've had it paid for probably by the Kickstarter.
Right.
That's it. They don't have to do anything else with it. They don't have to. The amount of support we can see, I'm guessing, will depend on how many people go for this from now on. But that was the perfect way to, drum up support for something maybe not a lot of people knew about.
Right. No, I think that they use Kickstarter properly with, getting the word out there, starting with a base product with a PDF, and hey, if the PDF sales climb and people really get into it, then they'll probably offer a physical book. If not, it'll stay as a PDF.
Yep. Cool. So, and if we see a lot more, we might see a lot more support behind it too.
So do we want to go from more diffuse to more diffuse?
I think so. I was going to say, I'm thinking because we are, we don't want to go too late anyway. Why don't we skip Throne?
Because of me, we started
a little late, yes.
A little late. I apologize.
It's fine. Why don't we skip Throne this week? It's going to be out in February. We can talk about it in February, hopefully.
Okay.
The Wizkids game that they just announced. And we'll just do Conan and Comanauts, maybe. But let's talk about Conan. Because, I'm sorry, there's this weird thing that's been going on with Conan.
Lots of Conan lately.
Lots of Conan, but the other thing I was going to say about it is they seem to always, find every, niche genre for Conan. I'm sorry, how many genres did actual Conan books move into? I'm curious now, how much they did, because we've had, when we were talking about some of them, they're mercenary, thief, barbarian, blah, blah, blah. Oh my god, I tried to move everything on the screen.
And now horror.
Now, granted, I think this is, horrors, so it's not, an actual, horror thing in the same way.
But, obviously, vampires and such.
Yeah, it's monsters. It's the monsters of it. And I think that's why this is more bestiary. But it has that, I guess it's supposed to be, the horrors that lurk in the night. But it's the gruesome creatures. So it's, horror yet bestiary. I don't... It's interesting that they take it in that direction. Rather than the beasts of the Hyberian age. Or
the roster will also include creatures and alien horrors from H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos.
To which Howard inextricably bound. Oh, Howard wrote stuff, or Robert E. Howard, that linked them together in Conan. I'm thinking what it is probably there were some cults in Conan that were very Cthulhu-esque or very Lovecraftian.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Which they have wild animals, dinosaurs, living plant horrors, elementals, golems, sapient magic circles, beings created with deep story, classic monsters presented in Hawaiian fare such as sirens, vampires, lamias, and mummies in the Howardian fare. The old ones, Outer Dark, Dimensional Chambers, Shoggoths, Dibano, Chico, things that come from Set, like giant serpents, the children of Yig, and serpent folk. Serpent men! Can we banish them back to another dimension? Like the cruel wizard, God damn it! I was gonna do the Conan, the adventure soundtrack, but I lost it midway through my entire thing.
But yeah, I think you are right. It's more of a bestiary.
Yes, or monster manual / bestiary.
Yeah.
Which they have like templates, rules for creating new creatures, things like that. You know, but I think it's like the thing that they are going for something when they calling it the horrors, though, is the problem. Is that, you know, maybe we're supposed to be making these battles and fights with creatures and terrible things in our Conan games, other than people, which are always been a big enemy, supposed to be this like, oh my god, horrific, you know, like what the hell is that thing, you know, what spawn of dark gods are we seeing, kind of thing.
Right.
And like, I don't know if I've ever tried to capture that kind of feeling in a RPG necessarily, which is like an interesting thing to think about, is to take on the, I guess it would be natural horror, the horror of the unknown and unthinkable kind of thing.
Right. No, it definitely seems interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, they have really cool art, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
and it's definitely adding in a lot of new monsters.
I'm guessing they probably talked about things that are beyond the normal stuff to fight in a couple of the books, kind of things, as they were appropriate.
Right.
But now it's, you know, everything else together in one big book of beasts.
Yeah. No, I agree. The artwork is really fantastic.
No, like, Momondifius always does a great job with all these things.
Yeah.
And they are making it out, like, the thing, like, the wording in their article about the book is very, like, horror-themed. You know, like, that haunt the recesses of the Hyborian world and menace the weak as well as the powerful. It's like, God, you're being, like... And you have, like... Oh, no! The bear! Because wild animals are in there, too. It haunts the recesses of your mind! I mean, like, yes, okay. Living plants...
You won't be able to bear it.
Living plants, old ones, giant serpents, you know, all those things. I'm guessing, you know, are very haunt the recesses of your mind kind of thing. But I'm sorry, they have bears and dinosaurs. Maybe dinosaurs, too, I'll give you. But, like, they have wild animals also in here.
It's an evil bear.
That bear is a monster of a bear. Well, if you have like a giant bear, I'm guessing. It's a really large bear.
Maybe it's a bear that made it with a Cthulhian horror.
That's true, it could be. Well, they do have rules for making chimerical horrors, so maybe that's what you do, is you combine the two of them. But it doesn't have the bear necessities.
Yes. And it has bear tentacles.
Bear tentacles. Those wonderful bear tentacles.
Okay, on that note, you're breaking my mind. You're breaking my life.
Woo! I try my best. Thank you very much.
And you often succeed.
Oh, but Conan, Horrors of a Hyberia Age. You know, this is such a... again, it's just, every time I, like, think about it, it's such a weird take on a bestiary / monster manual. Like, and it makes me interested about Conan's world more, because I'm like, I would like to try to instill that kind of thing in players. But it's very hard in most other role-playing games. Like, D&D, it's like, oh, it's this creature. How do you, like, in a world of fantasy creatures and a billion monsters, how do you be like, it's this terrible thing beyond space and time. Your mind is blown by its horror.
Oh, it's Bob.
It's like, oh, it's just a roper. We fought 20 of those last week. You know, or, oh, it's just a chimera. Oh, it's just a manticore. I mean, I guess for first-level players against something that's much higher CR, I can feel that. but that's forcing like a deadly combat to get that feeling.
Yeah. But then that's when you make it. That's when you cast Otto's Irresistible Dance and run away.
Doesn't work the same anymore, unfortunately.
I know, but that was still one of my favorite moments when we accidentally ran into the big boss of the game very early on. It's like, what do we do? Otto's Irresistible Dance. Bye.
I think we had a earth gem, so we burrowed through the dirt. Then we're like,
yeah,
make a tunnel, burrow through stone, dickwad. After you're done dancing.
It's like, okay, we got away from him. Let's not go back there for a long time.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, let's move on to I guess
Comanauts.
Comanauts, yes, by Plad Hat Games. So it's coming out at the end of January. Yeah, and it actually is Comanauts. Yes.
You're in a coma.
Yes, you're in a coma. That's the easiest way to describe what we're talking about here. So someone was going to, this doctor was going to save the world with his Mobius ring device, but he's been left in a coma by a lab accident. And now a minuscule black hole is forming, threatening to tear the Earth apart, and Comanauts have to enter his dream world that's also, his irradiated dream world, so I'm guessing, his mind has been, super irradiated or something, so it's I don't know, that's a weird way of saying it. Irradiated dream world. And solve the mysteries of his coma.
Super irradiated.
And so we have to, as Comanauts. It's like astronauts, but for a coma. It's such a weird word. It makes sense, but it's a weird word. So he fights the inner demons and through his nightmare dreamscape and find the information within his brain and salvage it. I love the characters, because one of them looks like just some chick who's like, yep, I'm here. Did you see this? No, the one picture. Let me... Oh, I was going to switch pictures. Let me show this picture on stream. Just to share with you the wonders of this random chick who... I don't know if she's actually supposed to be there or not, but I'm sorry. Oh, there! It showed up almost properly.
Oh, yeah, the one to the left.
Yeah, she's just
in the pink shirt, just hi, I'm here.
Yes. I'm like...
Why is this average chick just hanging with these people?
Damn it. Subregion, you failed me, for once. My editing failed. No.
Yeah, I think it's funny. She's just in a science shirt with a backpack, and she's just like, hi. And there's a robot next to her. Some guy looks like casting magic.
Well, no, it's the superhero.
A superhero and a woman and a paladin casting magic or something.
Yeah,
Hi, I'm here too.
Yes.
I have no imagination. I'm just myself here. That's what it seems like. Because it seems like if you're in a dream state, you could reimagine yourself how you want, and she reimagined herself as herself.
Yeah. Hi.
I'm just an average chick. I'm just gonna hide behind you guys.
I think it's technically more than that. I'm just gonna say there.
I know she's probably some kind of researcher or something, but
and that even might not be just that might just the image is just it might not be.
It might be what she looked like in real life before.
Yeah, we might not be because it looks like there's a character called Ling. So that might be Ling. Because you can check the rules, and I'm trying to read them and read the character cards from the rules. It's Marcia, Ling. Oh my God, it's upside down. One of them is Captain something or other because I can't read it upside down. And Clinky or something or Clink, the robot.
Ling. I'm looking at it now too.
I can't read upside down.
I can a little bit. There's Captain Continuum. He's the superhero dude. Clink. He's the robot.
Yep.
I wonder if he's a colonel.
Wow. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I made the joke that probably 90% of our will not recognize.
No, I don't know if any, but okay, yeah, maybe some will. Some will, maybe.
Let's see. But Captain Continuum has tech, synergy beam. Choose a.
Because then you take an avatar. It looks like too. Because they have like.
Okay, so yeah, she might be just the person, and then her avatar.
Yeah, and it's showing
might be like Ling or Clink or something.
Well, no, like I think Clink is a robot that's going in with them.
Okay.
Uh-huh. It looks like, kind of.
I don't know.
Uh-huh. Because there's I don't know, maybe not. Maybe it is your avatar of whoever you are. I don't know. This is like unusual. Oh, there's 22 avatar cards. So maybe there is one that's just the science chick. I mean, really. So, anyway, this game looks... That image alone has won this for me for this day. I probably should actually have a better image of stuff here. You know.
It looks like a very interesting game.
Let's just, you know, advertise the game a little nicer. I'm just going to say that there, rather than, you know...
Comanauts rulebook.
Yeah, oh, they have the rulebook. That's another thing that's, like, very wonderful here.
Yeah.
They have it out already. Come on. My mouse has been acting up a little bit. Maybe the battery's dying.
Citizen 1 has an alarming shriek and a grappling assault. And he can throw objects.
Everything's falling apart. It's breaking. We're okay. It's on fire. Technical difficulties. Ah!
You want to fight Guilt, the Blood Mage?
No, not really. Sounds like a cool name, though.
He has searing bonds and a fire blast.
Pew, 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 pew.
Hey, at least that's better than Citizen 1, who can attack you with the alarming shriek and grappling assault and throw an object.
That sounds about right.
I'm some random dude. Here, I'm throwing stuff at you.
I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of that kind of thing. Like, the avatars take a lot of various tropes on, you know?
Yeah.
Because one of them looked like, I think, like, Marcia was, like, a meddling kid kind of thing, so you're more an investigator.
Oh, no, not a meddling kid.
Yeah. So it was, like, more, you're an investigator or something, kind of thing. Marcia is the nosy kids. It's the part of, the group she is. The home coma zone is the noisy kids, apparently they call it.
Ah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. Okay, deal 2 random avatar cards face down onto the avatar slot of each player. Do not look at them. Each player looks through the remaining avatar cards, chooses a starting avatar, places the avatar and puts down on top of her sheet. Okay, so I guess you get 2 bonus ones that are below your starting one, and then, so, like, I guess you could change avatars in some way throughout the adventure?
Yeah, because I'm seeing in winning and losing, if the Flatline Vital Signs card is revealed, any player's third avatar is sent to Morass, or if all avatars are in the Morass at the same time, the players lose. Players win if they discover and defeat the Prime ID entity.
It's very weirdly mind-screwy, so, yeah.
Well, you're in a coma.
Yep, Comanauts. It's kind of interesting, and it's coming out the end of January. I mean, it looks like an interesting little, like, story-driven game. So it's like, you know, adventure-driven or something, to a degree. So, all right. I don't know how much I want to go to Comanauts after that there. My brain is a little, like,
no, but
yours.
It slightly makes me think of, oh, God,
Time Stories.
Time Stories. Thank you.
Which I would like to actually try Time Story again sometime. Maybe on a Sunday or sometime I can announce ahead of time a Time Story and see who wants to join me for it.
I think we only have one more left.
That we have in Tabletop Simulator. But more of them might have come out since before. Because we just did the Pharaoh one. And Order. I've done this before. I've looked up the Order. And figured it out.
It's totally bomb.
Time Stories, Marcy Case, Prophecy of Dragons, Under the Mask, Expedition Endurance. Did we do Lumen Fidei?
I think we did.
Yeah, because Under the Mask of the Valley of the Kings. Oh, that was the diplomatic mission in Spain for religion and stuff, where we had piety.
Right.
There's Estella Drive, Brotherhood of the Coast. It looks like. We haven't done a Stella Drive. Ooh. So there's something to do. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's, I guess, move on to our regular segments. Thanks, Brain. You're welcome. Let's talk some deeper discussions, because we at least had a chance to try out one new game this week, and I wanted to give a little bit of it, review over it. What else did we try out on Saturday? I don't think we tried anything else new to throw a review on, right?
Saturday we played the one of the three.
Yep, Oscar Bait, which I'll talk about here.
We played Oscar Bait, and I think that was. What else? Did we play something else? Oh, we played another game of Realms.
That's right. But we already kind of gave our review of that one. But we did play. We'll talk about that on our week in tabletop. But so for deeper discussion today, I have Oscar Bait. Hey, that's reversed because camera. We got a chance to try the second of the new Experience Workshop's stocking stuffer games, where we had last time been talking about the yarn one, which was naming new. Let me look this up because I'm blanking out on names. Anyway, let's talk about Oscar Bait in the meantime. So, Oscar Bait is a fun little game that actually was for more players, up to 4 players, 2 to 4, where Sewing Circle. I looked it up. Sewing Circle, which we talked about last time. So there's the second of the stocking stuffers, and it's a pretty quick game because you're dealt a number of cards, 4 or 5, depending on the number of players that you have, and then you choose whether you want to put a card out for points or put a card out for actions. And so the first phase is you place one of your cards out from your hand, either face up if you're giving it for points, or face down if you're going to use its action. And then you rotate hands and keep going until you run out of cards. After that's done, everybody counts up how many points they have showing, takes their cards that they put down into their hand, and you start then from the lowest person playing cards, going round robin kind of, putting out
trying to screw over your opponents.
That's what the card's special abilities tend to do, screw over your opponents, in order to get it that your amount of points becomes the maximum then. And you're winning.
You could win the Oscar.
Yes, with the best amount of rolls. So it's like with 4
or
cards.
Or maybe even just the best roll.
That's the thing, is with 4 cards, it becomes a really interesting balancing act, I noticed.
Yeah, the last game we played, I went straight, taking no initial rolls, and just straight hand of cards to try to see if I could just manipulate myself into the winning spot.
It was an interesting strategy, and I think you have to get the right cards. It's a lot of luck too, because
I came close on that one, I think.
Yes, you did a pretty good job, because you were able to steal a couple of things and screw some other people up. But I think my cards were enough to like get that like a little reverse screwing.
Yeah.
Fortunately.
Well, it's really, you have to debate on what you want to play for roles and what you want to keep in hand for manipulation.
Yeah.
If you end up having a bunch of low cards, it might not even be worth playing for roles, and then maybe they'll work better for manipulation.
Then again, like, there's certain things like swapping roles and stuff that maybe you want to put out a low roll because then you can swap it later. But the thing is, you can't really plan. You have to plan to have the card to swap because you might not have a chance to see that card again because it's going round robin and you're putting a card out. And there's only so many cards to put out, so there's a lot of
it's luck and strategy at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like the last one, a lot of luck and strategy, and it's a quick little game, and it was fun. Yeah. I would love to do both those games again. They were both little fun little games, but again, there was just a huge amount of both luck and strategy to them that you kind of had to put forth. Definitely.
I'm interested in the golf one though too.
Yes,
because so far out of the two, both have been really good. So I'm wondering, how if the third one will keep up with it.
I'm wondering how long it will take to do it. I guess it depends on how many holes you choose to do because you can choose the amount that you're doing. Actually,
all your holes belong. No, that doesn't sound right.
Those are bases.
I'm not gonna finish that.
Yes, those are bases. Thank you. Not what you were talking about.
I know, but I'm not finishing that sentence because this would sound wrong.
Kind of did. But no. So far, I've been very, very happy with the Stocking Stuffer collection from New Experience Workshop. We will eventually be checking out the pitch and putt golf game, also the pocket pitch and putt. And I think I have one other game which we have to try out for review purposes that are pure review that the companies were nice enough to grant us a copy of. So we will have a chance to throw those out there. But yes, Oscar Bait is another one that I highly recommend if you can contact New Experience Workshop. They have the Kickstarter, and they're getting all the stuff out from that. So you might have to wait till after the Christmas season to get Stocking Stuffer, or see if they have any more in stock. I don't know if they will or not.
Right.
Oh, right. So, now it is time for our next exciting segment, Kickstarter Corner, where we go on and basically throw out the support for some kind of Kickstarter that's out there that we feel is worthy of taking a look at and seeing that you might want to check out for yourself. Unfortunately, it's still been a pretty... End of the year tends to be kind of quiet. I think a lot of Kickstarters pop in at the beginning of the new year, and none of the people I've been communicating with have got their Kickstarters out now. But... Joe, did you find one that you want to throw your support behind?
I did not have a chance as I ran late today.
I was looking through some things and I didn't find anything like particular because it's the holiday season. So I think it's I think we'll save this particular segment again because holiday season, it's usually a lot earlier. I mean, there's a couple people that finished Kickstarters I've been talking to, and then Kickstarters are starting up next year that we certainly will be talking about when they come out. And I left that up because I'm an idiot, and I keep leaving the images up after I'm done, if I don't make a new one.
It's okay.
So let's go to our week in tabletop. Let us go to Joseph, my good man, with what we were playing last
So, we just discussed the one game we played, Oscar Bait.
Yes.
And we did another game of Shifting Realms.
And it continues.
Which we reviewed last week, and it continues to be great. We experienced a new realm this time.
The like priest realm, or they were very money based. I think very gold based.
Which did throw a new aspect in.
Yes.
We actually came close to building all the buildings this time.
That was an impressive one. I think some of the people forced the point on the cards. Unfortunately, someone had to leave most of the way through, and another friend that showed up kind of took over, but he didn't really know what was going on.
There's also only like a round or so left before the game ended.
Yeah, unfortunately, but the person had to go right away. They ran out of time because we are still learning. It does take us a little longer than maybe, you know...
A little more time, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
thoroughly enjoyable.
Oh, yeah. No, I had a good time. I believe... Who won? I think I lost, but not by a lot.
No, I think
it?
Hana won, didn't she? Or no?
I don't remember who won.
I forget who won. It was close. I remember it was close at the end.
Yes.
We weren't that far from each other.
No. But I can't even remember if I won or... It's like I'm trying to remember. Did I win? I don't think I did, but who knows? I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't for the life of me remember either, but it was a lot. We had a lot of fun doing it at the very least.
I think you won because, like, of just a small detail or something. Like, you were like if I had gotten... I think if I had gotten my last thing, we would have tied.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because...
That's right, because I remembered, because I was like, crap, I could have spawned the one guy on a different square, and I just needed him off of the base of operations on the map, and I didn't, and it would have... It's basically one small move, I think, cost me either, like, tying or winning by 1 point. Something like that, and it was very close, though, that way, between the two of us. It was
and I don't think anyone else was really far behind.
No, we had enough of a lead, but the thing is, like, a couple of different things could have made a difference very easily.
Yeah, it's like, I think if, like, someone else would have built the 13-point building instead of me, they actually could have took the lead.
Yeah.
So it was really down to, I ended the game at the right point, and you made a mistake.
Yep. It's like it was just a little mistake, but it was enough of one, definitely. Yeah. And then on Sunday we did some Ticket to Ride Europe.
Yes.
Ticket to Ride
continues to destroy friendship.
It continues to cause anger and hatred between everyone because you keep stealing routes from everyone. It's so fun, but it was like so awful too.
And that was a close one, though, too.
No, I think it was Worm who won because he got the longest route.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. My strategy worked very well, but I also was nowhere near anybody. But I thought about it at the end, is if I had given myself another round, maybe, like, I could have taken a 2 route, and then maybe the 3 route, and maybe that would have been a good idea, but...
You don't know what people would have done in the meantime there, too.
Yes, and I don't know what routes I could have drawn by giving myself the extra turn to draw a route.
Right.
I might have gotten crap.
Yeah, it was a very rough one. Unfortunately, I was part of the Eastern cluster that everyone else was in.
Oh my god, yeah.
And someone else needed almost the same route that I needed.
Oh, it caused so much problems.
I was just like, no, I have to... There was like 2 possible ways for me to get there because it was on like a little island that I needed to get to a certain space.
And the two of you were fighting
both ways to it almost, and I'm like...
Well, it's like, also, like, because his route had to kind of go around other people's routes, kind of driving you to that route. It was such a cluster on the entire Eastern Europe. It was impressively awful.
Yeah. People who had Western I almost said urine. Euro routes definitely had a benefit.
I had to go around one route, and then I decided right away to go a second alternate route, basically to go the 6-space ferry to the south, because I'm like, look, I could totally try to like snake around through whoever else was kind of in Central Europe, but I'm like, I'm already in the south, screw it, sticking to the south.
Well, we also figured out there's only really 1 or 2 long routes that are really western. Most of the long routes are eastern, which really
clusters them if you're unlucky.
I don't know why they didn't try to space it out a little bit more.
They made it realistic.
I know, but it's just like, can we get some long routes on the other side so not everyone's fighting for the same spots?
Well, I think it's like, I was in a position that I was more Western. There's another one that was, and then like, because there was only one more card left over of the big routes. So, I mean, I think one of you had more of a central route, but the Eastern way was the easiest, so they kind of stuck to that. And it's like also like northern and south. They aren't really bad if you look at it. It's just the fact is,
when you have 5 people too.
Yeah, 4 of you ended up overlapping enough in certain spots to make a problem.
Yeah.
And also the small routes kind of make you draw a line, that you want to take to connect them all together. And then you're like, then that starts becoming a problem. But it was fun still.
Oh, yeah.
And then we didn't have Madness of the Land because we had 2 people missing. Tesh was sick, and Winter was away with some family stuff. But we did have Legacies of Kain. And did we? Yes, it continued to be a cluster fuck because their new character frenzied at the end of last session. And so this session, they had to deal with the aftermath of him frenzying and ending up murdering a lot of people, and also burning down a bar, and killing some cops.
More badgers?
And there actually was more badgers.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Well, he frenzied in the bathroom of a bar while because he had 1 blood and tried to drink some blood from someone. And it's like, if you're down to 1 blood, you're very thirsty. You have to make a check. He failed that check. He had a decent chance. He failed it. Frenzied. Drained that person nearly dry. Managed to self-control himself against another person. Went and devoured the cook, who happened to be frying something on the pan, so it knocked over the boiling oil onto the stove, starting a grease fire, which then scared him away, leaving them dying cook to burn alive. And then so he went off into the streets, tried to attack someone in near my park because he was still frenzied, because he hadn't filled up on blood quite yet, ran into some cops who happened to be there, killed one and maimed the other, and then finally drained part of the one he killed, managed to finally go in and regain his senses, and then everybody had to clean it up. And so then they oh my god, they had to call the prince in to like help them clean up the fact that they had such trouble with the authorities and stuff there. So now I have to not only resolve the current mission they're on, do the actual mission which they're in London for, but then maybe do something side for the Prince of London, which I don't know if I want to do now or if I want to save that. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that, because they've called it a favor that way. I don't know. I don't know if it would be appropriate to throw it to the show, just to have it something in their minds, to have it something that haunts them, how I want to go about the problem that they've caused with that. Because they're very close to finishing off the side mission to go to the main mission, which should be very quick, fortunately, in comparison to the side mission, because they keep running into clusterfucks. Repeatedly.
Of their own making.
Of their own making. Of a lot of botches. They have botched a surprisingly large amount of times. It actually is like, with the percentages, you shouldn't botch as much as they have. It's been comical. And that's Vampire for you. We'll see how well they resolve it. So, next week, no Vampire on Christmas. I'll announce that in a second. Let's go to finish our segments. So I think that's our week in tabletop, right? Yeah. Consult the table. I'm getting ahead of myself. What? We got some?
No.
Okay. So if you have any questions for us, tabletop related, more, whatever. If you have a question about Magic the Gathering, if you have a question about D&D, other role-playing game, something just general tabletop, something else in the nerdy world, go ahead and leave it in chat here. You can email us at discussingtabletop@yahoo.com. You can... oh, God. My brain here.
Twitter, email,
Twitter,
chat,
Discord, any of us. All these things.
And we'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah. All these things, now that my brain is like actually working. Just give us a holler, and we can answer them to the best of our abilities. That's it. Yep. Okay. So thank you for joining us this week. Thanks once again to our guests. Unfortunately, they had to leave a little early, so they couldn't stick around with us. But I was glad to have Josh and Misha here to talk about Sumer, now that I'm finally getting the name correct and not Summer in my mind, because every time I see it, I think Summer. I'm sorry. It's Sumer, so it makes me think Summer.
It's only one letter off of Summer.
It really does. It also makes me I think it's also because it's winter time here and it's cold and I hate the cold. So it makes me want to be like, can it be warm yet? Please? Please? Warm? Please?
No,
so, yes.
No warms for you.
I know. It's never warms here. So yeah. Definitely thanks again to both of them. Check out Sumer.
Sumer.
Thank you. Check out Sumer if you have the Switch. Definitely recommend that. That's probably your best bet. But you can also check out the Steam version, which we're talking about. That it's still a great one. It's definitely recommended. Check it out. Keep an eye on. If not, get it right away. Keep an eye on it for that update that they're working on, that online multiplayer, because I think that's the big opening for them in their right now. It sounds like. But all right, yeah. Joe, do you have anything you want to shout out today? Anything special?
No, just wish everyone a happy holiday.
Yep, same for me. Happy holiday. Remember to join us here next week. We're on schedule. We're going to have another guest with us. Yeah, I've actually lined up a couple of guests already. So I will announce that getting a little closer, just in case things, change and their schedule changes. But we got them penciled in for next week on the 29th. We will both probably be back here for Sundays at the Tabletop tomorrow evening. Myself, I will be back around noon for some streaming. I think I'm going to do RimWorld. Legacies of Kain
Noon?
Canceled this week because it's Christmas.
Oh, noon tomorrow.
For me, for my normal stream.
Okay. That's why I was like, noon?
For RimWorld. For RimWorld tomorrow. Madness Land up in the air. We don't know if we'll have everybody. It is that holiday season, so we might be canceled for Madness Land next week also. I'll keep you informed on Discord and Twitter. Other than that, I will have a schedule. I'm going to try to have a schedule for the week up on my Discord, and I'm going to tweet about it on my Twitter account, to let people know on Monday about my streaming schedule and all that kind of stuff. Also expect to return to scripted shows in the early new year. I don't know if I'm going to be doing it the week of the new year or the week after that, but I'm going to bring them back now that I've kind of stabilized my YouTube side, if you check that out. But I think that's everything, right? Am I good?
Yeah, I think you're good.
Remember, check out all the links below. Definitely check out my YouTube side. Definitely check out my Discord, Twitter. Joe's got his Twitter. It's at JW Seeker 81.
Seeker, yep.
It's below his name right there right now. And of course, I've got my Patreon for extra support if you want to show that, which should be having some interesting updates. So if you want to take a look now, great. If you want to wait a little while, I should be updating it within the week to change around some of the things for rewards and stuff that you might want to get. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you hopefully next week. Same time, same place, same excitement. Bye, folks.
Bye.